Let's just jump right into this explainer, because today we're getting personal. I'm going to share my own professional coming-of-age story and how a really fascinating piece of source material fundamentally rewired how I look at career planning. If you've ever felt totally crushed by the pressure to have your entire life flawlessly mapped out, you are absolutely not alone. So, we're looking at a concept today that completely changed the game for me. It shows exactly why the smartest career move actually isn't some massive, dramatic leap of faith, but rather a kind of tedious, low-cost method of walking, watching, and testing.
So, for years, I had this crippling career anxiety. Why? Because I genuinely thought I had to get my path perfectly right on the very first try. I mean, think about it. Did you also believe career planning meant making one flawless choice for the rest of your life? I treated it literally like placing a single permanent bet at a casino. I thought, if I didn't pick the absolute perfect major or lock into my forever industry right out of the gate, I was already failing at life. It felt like holding a one-way ticket where boarding the wrong train meant you were just doomed. Our sources point out that in today's hyper-fast world, we're totally conditioned to crave that quick success, viewing careers as something we just lock into once and never, ever look back.
And man, this perfectly illustrates the trap I fell headfirst into. That traditional, linear marathon mindset, it completely shatters when it collides with our messy reality. You see, the textbook marathon tells us to pick a major, pick an industry, put your head down, and just sprint to the finish line. But reality hits differently, doesn't it? Your path gets completely derailed by unpredictable tech changes, sudden policy shifts, and massive industry disruptions. And hey, let's not forget, your own personal interests and understanding of the world evolve over time. The path that looks so crystal clear in a textbook suddenly becomes incredibly blurry in real life. So making a single, massive gamble on a future you literally cannot predict is honestly just irrational.
I learned the hard way that making a blind, all-in leap is seriously dangerous. When you just quit everything to chase a single dream without testing it first, you are taking on massive hidden costs. And yeah, extreme financial risk is a huge part of it, but it's not just the money. It's an absolute drain on your willpower, and it completely tanks your confidence. Every single time you make one of these massive, high-stakes bets and fail, it chips away at your patience and your self-esteem. You burn out so fast. You start doubting your own abilities. You really need a strategy that doesn't bankrupt your mind and your wallet every time you hit a roadblock.
Okay, so here is the absolute game changer from our source material. It's an old Chinese proverb that became my secret weapon. Riding a donkey to read the script. Wait and see. Now, I know it sounds a little funny translated into English, but the wisdom here is incredibly profound. It basically means you don't stop moving, but you also definitely don't sprint blindly. You keep a steady, manageable pace, and you leave yourself plenty of room to pivot. You have to abandon that super seductive trap of going all in. Instead, embrace taking multiple, small, quick steps, constantly recalibrating as you go. Honestly, it dramatically increases your actual odds of success.
Right, so we need to define this donkey, right? Because you certainly can't ride without one. For me, finding my donkey meant securing a baseline, stable job. Look, it wasn't my dream job by any stretch, but it paid the rent, it bought the groceries, and it removed that daily grinding panic of just trying to survive. The donkey is your safety net. It absorbs the daily cost of living and, crucially, the cost of your failures. Think about it. When you aren't starving or stressing over next month's rent, your mind is actually free to explore. You can be creative and dedicate your willpower to actual long-term exploration.
Now, this source points out a pretty harsh reality we just have to acknowledge. While some folks, like those with second-generation wealth, are literally born with a family-provided donkey that lets them freely take high risks without ever worrying about rent, the rest of us, we have to actively build our own basic security system first. Their ability to just freely explore isn't necessarily luck, it's a structural advantage. But for the everyday professional, if you don't have a natural safety net, you simply cannot afford to leap into the void. You absolutely have to consciously construct your own donkey before you start taking big risks.
And that brings us to my actual low-cost trial and error rule. Instead of dramatically rage quitting my job to chase a new career, I followed a really specific roadmap. First step, I kept my stable baseline position. Then I started using my evenings and weekends to just test the waters. Like, at one point, I thought I wanted to pivot into digital marketing. So instead of dropping thousands to go back to school full-time, I offered to run social media for a friend's local cafe on the weekends, totally for free. I didn't burn the boats, I built a tiny little raft on the side and tested it in the shallows to see if it would actually float.
By running little micro-experiments like that cafe project, I entirely bypassed those massive hidden costs of career transitions we talked about earlier. And you can do this too. Ask for short-term project rotations at your current company. Jump into side projects. Test out small entrepreneurial ideas on a Saturday afternoon. By doing things this way, your risks stay incredibly low and your costs remain totally controllable. But here's the best part. The real-world cognitive and practical skills you're gaining, they are accumulating for the long term. I was finally learning what I actually liked doing and what I was good at without ever risking my livelihood.
I'll admit it right now. When you are actively living this method, it feels incredibly tedious. It feels painfully slow, especially compared to that cinematic fantasy we all have of overnight success or some dramatic change-your-destiny-in-one-day leap. There's no instant wealth here, guys. But as I learned firsthand, this tedious process, the countless small steps forward, the constant adjustments, the minor corrections, it is the most authentic, reliable path to real growth. Real growth happens in the mundane. It happens in those quiet moments of adjusting your trajectory after a tiny, low-stakes failure on a Tuesday night side project.
And this is where we uncover the true power of the slow path. Every single failure I had during my side hustles wasn't some life-ruining catastrophe. It was just a minor course correction. This method continuously calibrates your life direction for you. Plus, it builds genuine resilience because you're getting used to handling small setbacks rather than getting absolutely destroyed by a massive one. Ultimately, it helped me avoid those disastrous hidden traps that so often masquerade as career shortcuts. You walk away with real, field-tested knowledge about yourself and your industry rather than just relying on untested theories.
There's a quote from our source that perfectly sums up my entire professional journey. It says, "Life is a long run. Smart people know how to run slowly, step by step, not rushing to go all in, yet ultimately going the furthest. By abandoning all that anxiety of the all-in sprint, I've finally allowed myself to walk, watch, and ultimately win on my own terms. The people who seem to be taking the long way around, constantly adjusting and testing your path, they are often the ones who bypass the hidden cliffs and end up going the furthest."
So as you look at your own professional path today, and maybe you're feeling that heavy, crushing pressure to figure everything out right this very second, I want to leave you with this final thought. Don't rush to place all your chips on one number. Build your safety net first. Find that stable ground. Before you make your next massive, all-in career leap, what is your donkey going to be? Figure that out, saddle up, and just enjoy the walk.